After encountering an airport cleaner outside a pub, a wealthy individual forfeits their first-class flight ticket to the destitute worker. Several days later, while answering the door on a stormy evening, the affluent person notices the airport cleaner standing on their doorstep, trembling in the cold. Not everybody's dream of flying on a plane can come true, or that's what Joan, a poor single mother, thought. She was a cleaner at the airport and only watched planes taking off, but never really went near them, let alone board one. Whenever a plane flew over, Joan and her little son Mike would take a moment and look up, staring at the aircraft streaking across the sky. They dreamed of flying someday, but quickly gave up on it, knowing their poverty wouldn't allow it. But that same day, their prayers were answered most unexpectedly when a stranger approached them with an unusual offer. It was Peter, a handsome and wealthy 24-year-old man. He had just gotten into a fight with his girlfriend who walked away and left him. He turned around to see if she would return to apologize, but she didn't, and it disheartened him. 2 hours earlier, Peter and Jessica were so happy to board their dream flight to New York, where they planned to celebrate their 5th year of dating. While everything was set, Jessica suddenly fought with Peter for inviting his family for a small get-together during their trip. He felt it would be nice if they joined the celebrations too, but Jessica was against it. She was furious and walked away, leaving him and their dream vacation behind. Unable to get over it, Peter hurried to the pub to cool his head off. He was so angry that he decided to cancel his flight and claim a refund. Peter was about to click cancel on his phone when he was drawn toward a heart, warming sight outside. It was Joan, a poor airport cleaner, and her little son Mike. They had dropped whatever they were doing just to watch the flight that took off. Peter was curious and walked to them. "Mom, when will we fly to New York on such a plane?" 7-year-old Mike asked his mother. "Only God knows, son. We barely have enough to make ends meet, and getting on that flight would be impossible for poor folks like us," Joan said disappointedly. Having overheard their heartwarming conversation, Peter approached them and introduced himself.
"And what is your name, son?"
he asked the boy.
My name is Mike. She's my mother, Joan."
"Hey there, nice to meet you. I just overheard you two talking. I'm sorry about that, but I was drawn to your conversation. So you wish to fly to New York?" He directed his question to Mike. Joan and Mike were quite astonished and had no idea why Peter was suddenly interested in them. "My son and I love New York, but we've only seen how it looks in movies," Joan replied shyly. For some reason, whether it was the sight of the woman, her son, watching that plane go, or Peter's vulnerability that day, Peter made a swift decision. He pulled out his 2 first-class tickets, the ones he and Jessica failed to use, and offered it to the mother and son.
Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now, back to the story.
"Ma'am, I was just about to cancel my tickets, but how would you and Mike like to go on your dream trip to New York?" Joan blinked. She unblinked. She wasn't sure she heard right or understood what Peter was saying to her. "Are you offering us tickets to New York?" she clarified. "Yes, ma'am," Peter replied, smiling. Tears of joy filled Joan's eyes. "But why?" Joan had to ask. Why would a stranger do that for them? Peter told them what happened and why he was standing with 2 unused first-class tickets. "And my girlfriend fought with me and left," he laughed. "I planned for a great family get-together there, but I think you and your son deserve this more. I will take care of all the expenses for the entire trip." Joan hesitated, but she could not resist the kind stranger's request. Peter proceeded to the counter where he asked the airline attendant to cancel his tickets and reissue 2 first-class tickets for Joan and Mike. The mother and son were so happy that day. They flew to New York for the weekend and had the best time there. Meanwhile, things headed in a different direction for Peter. He was down with a terrible fever and was alone in his house one night when he heard someone knock on his door. It seemed strange because not only was it quite late in the evening, but it was raining heavily outside. Curious, Peter answered the door only to freeze in astonishment. Joan was standing there shivering on the porch. "Mrs. Walter, what are you doing here? And how did you get my address?" he shrieked. "One of my colleagues told me about you. I found your office address and went there. But your employees told me you were down with a fever. I took down your address from them and came here to help you. I brought some medicines and a homemade pie for you." Peter was touched. "I am rich and can afford all the costly medicines in the world. But if something can heal a person, it is love and care. And you certainly prove this, Mrs. Walter. I always regretted never having a sibling, but I think I found a sister now," he cried. Joan played a significant role in nursing Peter back to good health, and as a result, he relished the company of both her and Mike. As time passed, their bond evolved into an invaluable friendship. Meanwhile, Jessica discovered that Peter had given up their plane tickets to a destitute mother and child, allowing them to fulfill their desire of traveling to New York. Touched by his selflessness, she met with him to express her regrets. "My love, I'm grateful that we had that disagreement and you left. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to assist Joan and Mike in achieving their lifelong dream of flying," he chuckled. Wealth isn't everything. What truly counts is the amount of love you accumulate throughout your lifetime.